Hi guys, just a quick update on the performance of the Continuum. A I know quite a lot of people are saying this is a failure project. First weekend launch is about 20+%. In fact, there was the PropNext CEO came out, saying that it's 30%. Some people say it's not accurate. Come on, just a few plus minus a few percentage is not gonna make not that much of a difference. But the key thing here is if you are comparing with those like Tembusu Grand and also Continuum and maybe even Blossoms, then they are totally different developments, different products, and not really accurate fair gauge in the first place. Especially the Tembusu Grand was launched pre-cooling measures, and this one is launched after the cooling measures. And Blossoms that at the area 75% you're looking at only 200 units, whereas here is like 212 is only about 26 units. This performance right here, I think the news hasn't been out because I remember Blossoms came out one day after only the news because it was at 70% sold, and then there was a lot of hype around it, right? Despite the cooling measures. And then naturally people assume that this will be the same for Continuum. But remember, there is a lot of supply in this area, and hence I would say I would have expected easily around about 30%, given the amount of checks collected previously, because quite a lot of people did not have access to the number of checks collected. So it's usually around that percentage. Let's say for example, let's say about 500 collected, you plus minus about 30%, and that should give you around that figure usually lah. And I think one reason why they managed to still hit this kind of pricing, to still hit this kind of percentage, so was that some of them they even launched lower than indicative pricing that they threw out when they were trying to ambush the Tembusu Grand's preview. It doesn't mean that it's cheap. I wouldn't say so. It's just that it's cheaper than they preempt you. It's like they tell you that we're gonna launch at this price, but they end up launching lower than a little bit. Actually, not a lot. They end up launching a little bit lower than they said they would. Mainly, I feel is because of the insufficient amount of check to boost their confidence, and they try to play safe. And not to forget that this is a 816 unit development. This is huge. This is almost like a mega development. Not to mention there's another one coming up. This is near the MRT Grand Dunman or Dunman Grand. I don't know what's their name. It doesn't really matter. It's still about 1,000 plus, and quite a lot of people are still watching that upcoming. That's why they had to be a lot more careful with their pricing. But then again, like I said, doesn't mean that it's cheap. I really don't think so. If you compare the margins of those that were launched during the COVID period and compared to those that are launching now, the profit margin on average is a lot higher. That's why if you use that as if you use all those that were launched during that period, 3 to 4 years back, and you want to compare the performance of those that are being launched today, and you want to extrapolate to those that are I'm not saying all developments today are launching at the kind of profit margin, but quite a lot of them, if they know that the market has the kind of popular demand, such as this D15 area, then they will be more optimistic. They want to launch higher, especially the one that was launched higher than expected is just around this area, Tembusu Grand. And if you compare that, people will think that, hey, actually, this one is cheap. This one is cheap if you compare to Tembusu Grand. But in the first place, I feel Tembusu Grand was way overpriced, way, way, way overpriced. Unfortunately, for those people who bought, I mean, if you want to buy, I mean, if you buy already, then just be happy with it, stick around with it. But this guy, freehold or leasehold, I know quite a lot of you have so-called done some research, you've done a little bit of homework, and then you hear people telling you, showing certain examples. Most of the time, unfortunately, it's quite rather irrelevant examples. If you're trying to compare a leasehold in a freehold dominant area, if you are saying that the leasehold does not matter, I'm sorry to say, we have a lot of data to show that the leasehold really does matter when it comes to a freehold dominant area. Please don't anyhow get in just because you have some not say a very good comparison kind of example, and then you base your analysis, you base your logic on that. Because most of the time, for example, you're comparing a leasehold with a freehold that is small. That is generally not a fair apple to apple comparison. You're talking about comparing maybe a durian to an apple, totally different thing. Why is the apple selling much cheaper than the durian? I think for obvious reasons. then that's why you need to know what kind of examples if you are trying to compare in this sense. And for Continuum, well, whether you since you're saying this one is a failure, like I said before, launch day performance, it is not an accurate gauge. So don't use that as an example to think about, oh, this is a failure. This is not a failure. It's just that whether they are still launched at a reasonable price is still a question mark, because there's a lot of incoming supply, especially in your Grand Diamond, and also another one that is still yet to be launched. And whether they will they drop price? Remember, the break-even price is about 229.6. If I'm not wrong, average was about low 27, and quite a lot of units are still even available at 26 something. And well, if they want to drop price, they can always remember they are at a very, very, very baseline. And during the COVID period, some developers were even selling below their break-even price, because as long as they have others that can cover on top of the break-even, then at least they don't make a loss. But some of them, they can afford to even sell this. But they are not today, they are selling way above at their break-even price. And that's why even if 25, yes, it may look cheap to you, but remember they have quite some margins on it. Can they afford to drop? They can still afford to drop as long as they don't move the unit. And too many supply in the area. You just go to any shops. You know, all the so-called fire sale, there are some of the shops, they always had the fire sale, fire sale. Some of them are ongoing fire sales for the longest time, because they know they have a lot of competition in the area. They have to stand out. And other than the price war, marketing is pretty much the same when it comes to developer. They throw out to a few agencies, they market, and some people say, hey, why don't you just do without agents? They can sell cheaper. You see what happened. All these decades of history, they need agents, because the agents are the one they are bringing in the buyers. If you just want an advertisement, then I'm sorry to say, I've seen some developers that done that. I would say most of the time they fail terribly, unfortunately. Sometimes people like why do you sell a house for an agent, with using an agent? Because you need that medium to bring in the buyers. Sometimes there are certain monies that you can save, some certain monies that you cannot save. You have to go for value rather than just trying to scream and save every single cent that you can do. And why are people doing it cheap or doing it for free? There will always be reasons why. Okay, and then let's see. So now this situation is that we have quite a lot of parties involved. Because of the performance, TC is wondering whether they should increase price or drop price. Now they are saying that on 8th of May, which is tomorrow, they are planning to increase the price. But will they drop price afterwards? We do not know. It's not a given that some of them, they say, launch day is the highest, the launch day is the lowest, and that's why it can only go up. This is a wrong example. And you have to look at the past history of such developments. How come they are doing this? How come they are able to do this while at the same time some launches they will launch around the same period of time? One is like this, one is like this. What is the reason behind it? Okay, some of them they can increase, after that they drop more, because remember, if you have 25% to go, and most of them are the small units, and you will need to move the other units. Other than intensive marketing, sometimes what you have to do is really have to drop price. And this is what I foresee, unfortunately, because there's sheer amount of supply is crazy. Some of them, they compare to Woodleigh Residence and Park Colonia and Travel. These developments together, they don't even have that kind of same supply as what we are seeing right now in the D15. Your Grand Diamond 1000 plus, 800 plus, 600 plus, upcoming, I think about 800. Can't remember the new GLS one. So all these guys upcoming is I think I would say comparable to the dental area, the total amount of units. Give me an idea, and this gives me an idea. Now I should go and calculate the total amount of units in the area again. That shouldn't take long, but anyway, I will just go and do that just for my own research. So now it's in the dilemma. TC is job caught in this. They are going to do this to stir the fan sitters to go and jump in and go and get the prizes. But after that, they will only probably succeed to get maybe 10, 20 more units. But after that, will they drop? We don't know, because that's what happened to over the weekend with Seneca, and also what's the other one? I think Leaf and B. Because previously, remember, they upped the price and then they started giving a discount. This one, I think some of the discounts were more than 100,000. Very sizable. The other one is I heard it's a 2% discount. So previously they threatened people, hey, we're gonna up 1%, and then we're gonna up 1%, and then after that they down 2%. So isn't it you're back to square one? How is this a staging process? Remember, when your profit margin, when the developer's profit margin tend to go up, that is where you'll find that and then the products still don't move. That is when very, very likely the prices will have to start to come down. Okay. On the other hand, I feel for no matter what people like I say, the view there is better. Yes, I agree. But remember, this area is still ultimately a freehold dominant area. No, those people who bought already, they want to justify their logic with their emotions. Then I will just leave it as it is lah. I'm not gonna argue. There's no point in doing that. I will say, if you look at this, if someday you wake up, you feel like you're being logical, if you look at this from a point of view, the other guy is buying a freehold premium in pretty much almost the same area. I'm a lazy guy. I can definitely tell you, I can still walk over from Tembusu Grand to the Continuum. It's still, no matter what, it's not a super near walking distance, but it's still within walking distance. So it won't be totally unfair to say that they are located in the same locale. So someday if you wake up feeling logical, no matter how it is, you will still feel pain. Come on. Okay. No, maybe now you're still in the denial stage, but this, at least for me, I don't really think it is that rationale of a buy for TG, unfortunately. And then probably Grand Diamond developers are thinking, hey, come on, brother, why you sell this kind of price? Seems SMS or SMS. I don't want to say this kind of thing on air. Well, Grand Diamond is probably confused now. So how much are we gonna launch? Remember, their break even is only about 2-1 something. They can, if they got 1,000 plus units to clear, if they see that TC can only launch, even though most of the small units are have moved already, and they only move 25-26%, and they got 1,000 plus units, will they launch at 2.4? Even though they are nearer to MRT, and I think very, very unlikely, unfortunately. They need to move quite a sizable amount for them to start playing the real staging. It's not like the fake staging. There's a difference between a fake staging and a real staging. So not all developers, please, no matter how many times other agents are telling you, not all developers follow this trend. You can look at a lot of the other developers. I can easily name you a few off the air, but I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to say here for a little bit of confidentiality stake. Some are like this, some are like this, some are like this. There are all kinds of patterns. Just because you don't buy that bull crap that launch day prices will always be the best. It will not always be the case. So Grand Diamond is probably scratching their head. So now what kind of price do we have to launch? I believe they are watching for reserve residences, and then they have a little bit of comparison, because after all, they need to check out their competition. And then all those sitting on the fence, waiting, which one should we buy? Now they also don't know. Because now, should they wait for Grand Diamond, or should they I highly, if it's me on the line, I'm unfortunately I won't even consider the Blue Grand. And most top out a little bit, go for this one. Or if I really, really, like I said, I have to choose. If it's me, I wouldn't choose. Unfortunately, I wouldn't choose to be in this area, because there's simply too much risk involved. And I want to be able to get profits in a certain amount of time frame. I don't have to be clear out at the 3-year mark. That's a fallacy that a lot of people like to believe in. I want to get out ASAP upon my SSD clear. That's not the point. You need to really look at the slightly more macro perspective, rather than just SSD, I want to clear it. I personally know of a few clients that I've seen before. They regret letting go upon the 3-year mark. So like I said a lot of times before, you really need to know what kind of pricing, what kind of macros that you have to factor in before you let go at your supposedly 3-year mark, as proclaimed by a lot of other agents. On the other hand, the last party that is involved over here is secretly happy. Is this guy. Our dear authorities lah. They're not too so sensitive to name of the whole thing lah, but yeah, they are actually happy, because rather than one at a time jacking out the price in this area, now they have a lot of competition. Then you guys better know to tune down expectations and don't sell too expensive, because all these will drive out the PPI, and it's not looking so good for the URA. So And on top of that, there's still one more for the party over at D15. So they are probably rubbing their hands, happy that okay, guess what? It is now the tide is starting to change. It's not like going all the way up, especially in the D15 area. Okay, so I would say well done to the authorities for clamping down the price increases in this area. This one I can't help but agree that they are doing a good job in this sense. Okay, like I said just now, some people are mentioning, oh, leasehold, you buy a freehold area such as Whistler Grand, that's where Whistler Grand make money. If you are using Tembusu Grand as a gauge, as an example for this, I will say that unfortunately, I will not to say nobody is absolutely wrong in any ways when it comes to property market, because nobody can fully foresee the circumstances. But based on history, some people say, oh, hindsight is 2020. Hindsight, it is 2020. But what we can do is we always learn from the lessons of the history. Nobody can project, oh, this is what happening from history. But we learn a lot of times, not just from property, and all kinds of other aspects of life, that certain things can be done, certain things that shouldn't be done in order to run a country, in order to let these things succeed. So we follow what should be, what the lessons has taught us from history, and so that we reduce our risk from losing money in the future. Okay, so some people like to say, ATT, you like to compare all the old thing. It's from the old thing, that's why we look at the future and then reduce the risk. Okay, there is a difference. I'm not telling you that I have 2020 like foresight. Nobody has that. Okay, that's a disclaimer. Please. Nobody has. No matter how good your YouTuber, no matter what your millionaire achiever, nobody has that. Let me clarify it. But what I like to do is that I base on what history has taught us, and then from there on, we go ahead with as little risk as we can. That is my approach. Okay, and for these three guys, yes, they managed to make money. But why did they manage to make money? Remember, despite the 900 plus, let's treat that as almost like freehold. I'm not saying they are equals to freehold. They are almost like freehold in terms of their behavior for resale. And then you look at the price, the kind of price margin last time. It's super close, man. That's why they are making money despite them being a leasehold in the freehold area. But today, if you're trying to use this same example for TG versus or versus this area, and then you're saying that TG is gonna make money, this gap is definitely not there lah. I think I've shown in my TG video already that this gap is huge compared to this. So in that sense, for me, unfortunately, if I want to be an investor, I will want to reduce my risk and not jump into conclusions just because of a graph like this. This is a totally different example. That is the problem. When people look at certain graphs, they think that they know a lot of things, but they do not know what are the factors behind the graph that they are seeing and what is the message that's being trying to be brought across, and then they come to their own shallow conclusion. That is a little bit too dangerous for you to be risking millions of dollars. I think that is not a rational decision at all. Okay, ultimately today, yes, we have limited choices in the market. Everything is expensive. Come on, which property, since when people are ever saying that, oh, this property is cheap? The property is never cheap. It's never meant to be cheap, especially in Singapore. So what we can do is always we go buy something of the safer approach versus something that is of a riskier approach. For me, I like to buy something that is newer. I don't have to buy the newest, come on. I'm gonna buy something that is newer, and then I'm said that which is selling very, very close to the resale price. So that basically my new thing is almost like the same price as my resale already. Then it doesn't behave like, typical. Always everyone is saying, oh, new is so expensive. So expensive, who will buy? Then if your gap is always too big, remember your future buyer will always say the same thing. So how are you going to justify it? If you want to buy into something that is newer, you need to have your resale that is being a very, very close benchmark so that you won't fall beyond that. Okay, and how are you gonna find us all these opportunities? Then if you need help, then I'll be happy to share. That'll be all we have for today, and then good luck for those people who are still observing the market. Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.